Hey guys, I had plans for today. I was going to meet with a friend because it's Sunday and it's my day off, and that got cancelled due to her insomnia. And I think this is kind of sort of perfect timing because I have been planning to make a video on anxiety/insomnia for quite some time and I haven't done it. And so I figured I might as well sit down with you and tell you my little story with insomnia. I lived with insomnia for over 10 years. It must have been more like 13 years of my life. I think the first time when I had it, I must have been around 13, 14. After that, it was kind of ongoing. It's hard to keep memories. It's hard to function. It just puts you in that really negative mindset. I don't know if you remember what it's like to have like 9 hours of sleep and be able to wake up and everything is right. Like everything is so good, and like you can have, you know, a freaking bird can poop all over your head and you will be like, ah, well, that happened, I guess, good luck. Whereas when you're struggling with your sleep, you would not react that way. I was just living with it. I went to doctors that didn't really have anything for me. They would be like, oh, just take over-the-counter sleeping pills. I tried sleeping pills. I tried lots of exercise. I would still have trouble falling asleep and then also have trouble staying asleep. Funny story, when I was in college, I went to a neurologist for migraines. He prescribed a preventative pill. I realized that, oh, there's a little label on the bottle that says do not take with alcohol. So I took it with alcohol during my times of very, very high stress. I started drinking wine like every single night because paired with the pill, it would have like an exponential effect, and so it would just knock me out. Now, back then, I didn't know that alcohol actually has a detrimental effect on insomnia. It can actually enhance it. I guess that's my first tip. Alcohol doesn't actually help. You just think that it helps. My point is, I went to that extreme and I didn't care. I needed sleep. So if you're going through that right now, I get you. If you're going through all kinds of extremes to just get some sleep for just tonight, I get it. I think most people are gonna tell you that you are just struggling with anxiety. And that kind of pisses me off, but it's also kind of true. And anxiety, it's such a broad topic. How do you tackle your anxiety? I didn't entirely tackle it, but here's a few things that I noticed that allowed me to recover from my insomnia. The first thing was I discovered by accident was diet. And it's kind of a longer story, but I basically found that animal products had a big effect on me. Just keep in mind that these animals that we are farming, we are torturing them and we are putting them through all kinds of panic. We are raping them. They go into a slaughterhouse, they see their friends and their loved ones getting slaughtered, they know it's coming for them, and then they get slaughtered. So all of this adrenaline, all of that cortisol goes into their bloodstream. That meat is basically fucked by the time you eat it. The dairy is coming from a mother that is grieving for her baby cow. I'm not trying to tell you to go vegan. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I have understood after doing that experiment. It was a week-long vegan experiment because I had congestion issues. 3 days later, no congestion. I was able to just sleep without that horrible pressure, and I noticed that my sleep improved. I was not panicking as much, and I can confidently say that it was because I significantly reduced the amount of cortisol in me. So I was still panicking, I was still having some panic attacks every now and then, but the general levels of cortisol in my blood significantly went down. So I was no longer having all these racing thoughts all the time. It was a lot less frequent, just by diet. You don't necessarily have to go extreme and just go vegan, because that also induces stress. Remember, you want to reduce the amount of stress. but just reducing the amount of animal flesh, excretions as well, dairy and eggs, you will already by default reduce the amount of cortisol in your blood. The second thing was surrendering. And that, my friend, is the hardest part of all. And I wished that I had known about this. I believe this is the key to overcoming your insomnia. Well, one of the keys. I guess I'm giving you 3 keys today, plus a tip, the alcohol tip, because that's important. So I got to a place in my life where I was ready to just give in to whatever my symptoms were telling me. I did not get to actually do this step until I was taking time off. Here's why. Surrendering means that when you wake up in the middle of the night, when you know the insomnia is hitting right now, and you know how you start having anxiety about the insomnia, so like you start you start getting anxious about not being able to get enough sleep for the next day, and so you start thinking about, oh my god, it's gonna suck because I'm gonna have no energy, and how am I gonna drive? I hope I'm well enough to drive because I'm not getting enough sleep. How am I gonna take care of the kids? How am I gonna do this? All of that junk. When you surrender and you let the insomnia be okay, then you can discover what the insomnia has to tell you. And that sounds way, 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 way easier said than done. And it is. I mean, I don't know how I could have done the surrendering part if I hadn't been taking time off. I really don't know. So if you're in a position where you're desperate enough to get rid of your insomnia at whatever cost, if you're officially done with it, then you'll find a way to make it happen. It's the only way that I was able to end my 13-year-long insomnia permanently, because I never had it again. So I've had episodes where I kind of wake up in the middle of the night, I'm really anxious about something, I'm panicking about something, and I always do this and it just nips it in the bud. Like it doesn't happen again. I go back to sleep. How I do this is when I wake up and I start having those thoughts, if it's been about 15 to 20 minutes, then I officially wake myself up. So I normally would be struggling to go back to sleep because I'm panicking, I'm anxious about how my day is gonna suck, how I won't be able to function, how I won't be able to get stuff done, I'm gonna feel like shit. Basically make all that thinking stop and just do something productive or do some kind of distraction. What I do a lot of times is just go through Instagram and just release resistance to the insomnia. If I'm gonna be awake, okay, then I'm going to be awake. I'm not gonna be awake trying to go to sleep. I'm going to be awake. You know that you've honestly surrendered because you stop feeling anxiety about not being able to sleep. You stop having those thoughts. You're just chilling. You're going with it. You go with the insomnia. You go where it needs to take you. After you have surrendered, you also have to create a loving space for yourself to see what it is that you need to see. So insomnia doesn't come up just to ruin your life. It's coming up because there is a contradiction between what the real you wants and what your physical you is actually doing. So there's this big gap that needs to be bridged, and you don't want to bridge it. You know, like the physical part of you is like, yeah, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that. So for example, your real self says, I am going to switch careers and I'm gonna do something super fun and I'm gonna bake cookies and sell them and that's gonna make me super happy and that's what I'm gonna do for a living. And your physical self says, fuck no, I need to stay in this minimum wage job, which is crap, and I'm totally taking on abuse all the time because I need to pay my bills. There's your contradiction. That's just one example of what's happening. The other thing that can happening is something traumatic came up and you don't want to see that it's actually traumatic. You want to act like nothing really happened. Everything's okay. I'm just having insomnia out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere. Insomnia is like the very, very tip of the iceberg. A lot happened beforehand. The point is, there's a contradiction happening. And that's the root of your insomnia. The only way that you're gonna see it is by improving your self-talk. So when you're thinking to yourself, I should not be doing this, I should be able to go back to sleep, this is a fucking nightmare that I'm not getting sleep, I'm so miserable with my life, how am I gonna take care of the kids, how am I gonna put up with this, how am I gonna... Start talking to yourself in a kinder way. My favorite way to do this is by just doing it energetically, showing compassion to the part of me that is struggling. And for me, it's easier to, at the beginning when I really didn't love myself and I really didn't know how to like send love to myself when I was struggling. It's a basic visualization. So I like to visualize the part of me that is struggling against insomnia. So not the part of me necessarily that is having the insomnia, that would be like my conscious self, but the part of me that is resisting that insomnia, that wants to fight it. I visualize that part of me as a baby, a being that is completely defenseless and that just wants love. And I should compassion to that part of myself that feels hopeless with the insomnia, that feels isolated because it feels like other people just don't understand what it's like to live with this thing. That part of me that just wants so badly to go to sleep. Shoot compassion to that part of it. And this, my friends, cured me of my insomnia. And again, I did not get to tackle my anxiety on like a super high level. I still struggle with anxiety today. So it's not like I cured my anxiety completely before I was able to get rid of insomnia and panic attacks. I've gotten rid of both of them and I still have some anxiety. So I just want to make a point of that. You can take steps without being perfect. It's not about perfection. It's about finding what works for you right now. And hopefully some of these tips would help you. This was my recipe for insomnia. I wish that someone had told me this when I was a teenager and alcohol really seemed like one of the best ways to be able to get some sleep. It wasn't. It wasn't, and I didn't have anyone to tell me this. So hopefully it helps you. As usual, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Take care of yourself. Go love yourself. Send compassion to yourself. Stop resisting your body. It has all the answers that you need. Bye.